I think that's all for today's lesson about narrative text. And let me know if you have any questions or comment in our blog section. Thank you for joining us today.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello students, how was your day? I hope it's fine. Okay, through this podcast, today we will learn about narrative text. I think most of you already know about narrative text. Even if you have never heard of narrative text, we will discuss it today. So please listen carefully. So what is narrative text? Narrative text is a type of story text that is imaginative and also describes a series of events from time to time described from the beginning, middle, and end. Another understanding of narrative text is a chronological text, which is a text that tells an event in a coherent way. Then, what is the purpose and social function of narrative? Narrative text aims to entertain and attract readers' interest. Narrative text presents a story of event that has a problem. So, these problems can lead to conflict, and at the end of the story, there is a resolution and have a sad or happy ending. And not only that, students, narrative text also has many moral messages that are stored for its readers, especially if the type of story is a factual story. Then of course, it can be a valuable lesson for readers. And then student, we will recognize several types of narrative text including adventure stories, fables, fairy stories, historical narratives, horror stories, legends, myths, mysteries, science fiction, and slice of life.
Okay, in this part, let's talk about generic structure. Narrative text is a text that conveys and tells a story through certain media, such as in pictures, sound, text, and others. Narrative text is a text structure that is formed from elements such as plot or storyline, setting or background or countryside, theme, characterization, point of view, and style, and as well as tone and mood or style, language and atmosphere. And the next, there is a general structure of narrative text that you need to know as follows. Number 1, orientation. Orientation is the opening paragraph is the text that introduces the character involved, when it happened, and the location that become the background of the incident, or who, when, where. And the next is complication. Complication is located after orientation and consists of a paragraph that describes the problem at the beginning. This initial problem is the beginning in the storyline, which continues to conflict, climax, and anticlimactic. It's a story. Complication in a narrative text contains interaction between actors. And the third is resolution. Resolution is a paragraph that becomes the end of the story, which becomes the completion and ends in a story. The problem that exists in a narrative text must be resolved and closed with a happy ending, or even tragic and sad, or sad ending. And the last is reorientation. Reorientation is a closing sentence that tells the final state of the character in the story, is a moral message in a narrative story.
Well, in this part, we are going to talk about what is language feature. Language features are linguistic elements of a text that are related to grammar. Language features can include the type of tense used conjunctions, active and passive sentences, and so on, depending on the type of the text. So language features are linguistic characteristics of a text. The linguistic features of a narrative text comprise relevant vocabulary, simple past tense, adjective and time transition, and also action verbs. The linguistic feature of the narrative text. The first one is the simple past tense. This is the story of the narrative text entitled The Frog in the Well. For the example of the simple past tense is once upon a time there was a frog which lived in a shallow well in a villager's home. He met a turtle which came from the eastern ocean and said, please pay the attention of the words that is bold. And then for the active verb, the example is look how well off I am here. I always can hop along the well while I want to go out, and I can rest by a sacrifice in the bricks on my returns, and then I can swallow to my heart's wage contents with only my head above water. The next one is the first person. The example is I can stroll water deep through soft mud, no crabs or tadpoles with me. I am the master in this water and the god of this wallow well. You know that there is no question about the fellow. It is why I suggest you to come here every day to get a good time with me. The next one is the specific noun. For the example is before the turtle which came from the eastern ocean stepped his foot to the well, suddenly he got his claw on something. So he continued to halt and step back. The next one is the conjunction. The content is he told that it was more than 1,000 miles across and more than 10,000 feet deep. So there were floods 9 years out of 10 yet. The next one is adjective. The frog was silent without saying nothing. And then the last one is adverb. So he was still standing in the hands of the well.
Now, I will read one narrative story and show you the example of generic structure in a narrative text. And listen. A farmer and a box. Once upon a time, there was a poor farmer, and he lived with his wife. One day, he dug up his field and found a big box. He then kept it in their house. This is the orientation section, where the characters and the background of the story were told. One sunny morning, his wife dropped an apple in the box. Suddenly, the box filled with apples. No matter how many apples were taken out, more apples took place in the box. Then the farmer dropped a gold coin into that box. At once, apples disappeared and the box began filled up with the gold coins. Soon, the farmer became rich. Having heard that his son got rich, the farmer's father visited the couple. His father was not very strong. He could not go out to work anymore, so the farmer asked his old father to help him take the gold coins out of the box. His father worked hard, took the gold coins out of the box. When he told that he was very tired and wanted to have a rest, the farmer shouted at him, "Why are you so lazy? Why can't you work harder?" The old man said nothing and continued to work. Suddenly, the old man fell into the box and he died. At once the gold coins disappeared and the box began filled up with dead men. This is the complication section where the conflict started to develop. The farmer had to pull out and bury the bodies. To do this, the farmer had to spend all the money which he had collected before. When he had used up all his money, the box broke. The farmer was just as poor as before. This is the resolution section where the conflicts in the story was solved, and it is end with a sad ending. I think that's all for today's lesson about narrative text, and let me know if you have any question or comment in our next session. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.